Welcome to Sunday Springboard with Melanie and Kimberlin Coaching. We help women recover and flourish after stress and trauma. So here I am trying to do this video again. If you heard me last week, I hope you won't mind hearing it again. We're going to try it again this time, but this week I'm going to actually share my screen with you, which is what happened last week. I forgot to share my screen. I had all my little windows set on my computer where I could see everything, and I didn't realize that you couldn't see everything. So give me just a moment. Let me share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So we're talking about relevancy today. We're talking about how our brains determine what is relevant. And as we're trying to understand our brains and our bodies, first I want to start off with the video that last week some of you did not tried to see but didn't get to see. So watch this video. Count how many times the players wearing the white pass the ball. So the correct answer is 16 passes. Did you spot the gorilla? For people who haven't seen or heard about this video, about half of them missed the gorilla. Even if you knew about the gorilla, if you knew about it, you probably saw it. But did you notice the curtain changing color or the player on the black team leaving the game? Let's rewind and watch it again. So when you're looking for a gorilla, you often miss other unexpected events. That's the monkey business illusion. Okay, so when you watch this video, you may or may not have seen the gorilla, but I bet you did not see all of the things that changed. This video shows us that when we focus on one thing, we can miss the other things going on around us. We have what is called selective attention. We focus on the things that our brains think are relevant. This is week 4 of our series on stress and trauma. So we started off talking about how our brains want to protect us. We've talked about what this does to our bodies. We've talked about how our brains create habits to increase efficiency. We've talked about how repeated stress can take us into Hulk mode and how to come back out of that, as well as other things. If you missed the last 3 videos, you can find them on my website, KimberlinCoaching.com, on the Springboard page. If you look around you, you'll realize how much stimuli is coming into our brains at every minute of the day. Way too much stuff for us to process all of it. So our brains are constantly scanning for what is relevant. Remember that our brains want to keep us safe more than anything. Our brains are always looking around, scanning for danger. Different people's brains think different things are dangerous. But as I said, there's so much information bombarding our brains in every second that our brains develop some shortcuts. One of these shortcuts is created by collapsing categories. Let's explain this with a metaphor. Let's take flowers. So you have a category of flowers. There are all kinds of flowers in the world. You like flowers. They smell good. They're pretty. But then one day you're smelling a flower and it turns out you have a major allergic reaction to that flower. You can't breathe. You have to go to the hospital. You have to get a breathing treatment. You have to get a shot. What has happened to your category of flowers? So now in your head, you have flowers and then you have flower. You're not allergic to all, you're just allergic to the flower. But what happens is Naturally, if in the course of time you have a few more of those experiences with the flower, the category collapses and your brain decides it's too hard to determine which flowers are that flower. And so it just decides all flowers are dangerous. So now, anytime you see anything that's going to be flowering, your brain says danger, danger, danger. So how does this and this is biological, right? It's you're not consciously saying flowers are dangerous. Your brain just throws a unconscious thought, and you're not consciously choosing to act that way. It just you just get the sense to avoid the all flowers because all flowers could be dangerous. Now, how does this play out in our lives? Well, on a simple basis, maybe you ate a food, you got sick on it, and now you can never eat that food. This has a low impact on your life. But what if you have other types of negative experiences? What if you got up in front of people to speak and one time you forgot your lines and you were embarrassed? Now you may be afraid that every time you speak in front of people, you're going to embarrass yourself. What if you're driving at night, you had a wreck or you nearly had a wreck? Now, maybe you're afraid to drive at night because you're afraid that you're going to have another wreck. And again, remember, these aren't necessarily thoughts going through your head of, oh, I'm afraid I'm going to have a wreck. You just have this sense of danger. If I do this, this is dangerous because your brain has collapsed categories and has decided that the best way to keep you safe is just to avoid anything that even looks like that thing that was dangerous at that time. What if you've been in large groups and maybe one or two times some people bullied you or made fun of you and teased you and you were embarrassed? Now, all large groups are dangerous. You don't want to go there. Remember, it's not logical. You don't hear your brain saying it. You just have this sense without a logical thought behind it. What can you do if you're experiencing these kind of thoughts? First of all, remember that we can't really do much changing if we're in Hulk mode. If you don't remember what Hulk mode is, please go back and watch the previous videos. But just a really quick scenario, when our brain senses danger, pours all these hormones into our body, and we are in fight or flight mode, we are not consciously able to think and plan and make good decisions. We're in reaction mode. We may have all kind of physiological experiences. We may be our brain, our heart is racing, we're breathing heavy, we may be shaking. All kind of things happen to us when we're in Hulk mode. And it's a normal thing, and the behaviors you're experiencing are normal, but you have to be able to get out of Hulk mode and into Bruce Banner state. So you have to be able to get your body regulated before you can think clearly. Now, when we have the things I just talked about, if you're sitting there thinking about that, you think this is black or white thinking. This is not rational. You need to change your thinking. If you think that because I had embarrassed myself here at this one time doesn't mean I'm going to always do this. It's very easy in Bruce Banner mode to talk about that and reason it out. When we're in Hulk mode, we're not reasonable. We're not rational. We cannot just think it out and talk it out. So the first thing that you can even do to help yourself in these situations is use the tools. I've been teaching you some, and I'm going to teach you another breathing tool at the end of the session today and find out which things work for you to get yourself back down into a regulated state, into Bruce Banner mode. Once that happens, then you can do some changing. First of all, let's just become aware. Start noticing when you have these kind of fears or anxiety. Don't just chalk it up and say, that's just how I am. I don't do this. I don't do that. Stop and become aware that you're doing it. Now, if you're in the middle of it, you're probably going to go on through with it. You're not going to be able to stop it in the middle, but become aware and try to remember it for later. And later, maybe you can think about it. Another thing is when our brain collapses the categories, we're focused. I remember when I've been through really hard times, I felt like I was so focused, so narrowly, couldn't look around. And I kind of felt like that was how I could tell when I was starting to be in recovery more when I could look around me more. So, but on purpose, look around and see which things are positive, because when we're in this mode, we get focused on the negative things. Remember, the brain is looking for negative things so it can keep us safe from those negative things. We have what is called a negativity bias, not because the brain is trying to be mean to us and make us feel bad. It's because it thinks that if it's on the lookout for the negative things, it can keep us safe. So broaden our focus, look around what things are positive in our lives, what things are good, what things are not wrong. Maybe they're not actually good, but they're not wrong. So try to broaden your look. And then think about this triggering situation. What was it that triggered you? Ask yourself questions. When did this start bothering me? What was the situation? When was the first time I had this fear? What was going on? And how likely is that to continue to happen now? Determine whether this fear is something rational or whether it's your brain collapsing the categories for you. Obviously, there are some things that are rational fears. Snakes, maybe, drinking and driving. There's a lot of fears that are rational, but decide whether this fear that you're having right now is rational or whether your brain is just trying to keep you safe. Think of some statements that you can tell yourself if you decide that this is not a rational fear. Plan them now when you're in Bruce Banner mode. Write them down or post them or whatever you need to do so that you have them ready for when it happens and you come upon the situation. Then you can tell yourself one of these statements that will help you determine, is this really true or not? And have that happen before you get all the way into the Hulk mode. The last thing is you might need some help. You may not be able to go through all of this, working this out on yourself. Obviously, you'll know that I'm available, and at the bottom of the show notes, I have a link where you could schedule a free session with me, coaching session with me, and we can talk about whether I could be helpful to you. So I'm going to end with teaching you another breathing tool. Remember that breathing tools are one of the best ways to help you regulate your body in the moment when you're in Bruce Banner in the Hulk mode. So sometimes we're in a situation where we can't do large movements. So what I'm going to teach you right now is a breathing thing that is called micro movements. So we're going to make really tiny movements. They'll still have the same calming effect as the large ones. So these work to relax your vagus nerve, which is the nerve around your neck and face. Anytime you do things around your neck and face, these are good places to work on to calm yourself, and they have this calming effect on your nervous system. So this one, we're going to make the symbol of the infinity symbol. So you know the infinity symbol goes like this. It could actually be like this, up and down. What we're going to do is we're going to make our head move in that way. So we're going to start in the neck. You're just going to make your head go up, down, over, down, and around. And you can do this in different ways. You can do it from side to side like this. You can try doing it up and down. You can do it fast or slow. You can have your eyes open, or you can have your eyes closed. Just keep doing it and see how it feels. And one of the things that you can do is you can sync your breathing with the movement. Because you might be starting off doing it kind of fast, but if you start to sync your breathing with the movement, it might slow you down. As you settle into a rhythm, you can see how this can slow your whole body down and calm yourself down. All right, try this and see. Different breathing tools help different people. I'm always interested to know if you try one of these tools that I give you and you found that it benefited you. I would love for you to answer back in the show notes or DM me or or put a comment on the business page. I would love to know how much these are helping you and which ones specifically help you. Meanwhile, like I said, schedule a free session with me. If not, have a great week, and hopefully this was some benefit to you. Bye-bye.